Hi everyone, Savannah Tree Foundation Field Manager Jake Henry here, and today I wanted to talk about cicadas. Just to clear up any confusion, you know, some folks think they're really bad for trees, others don't even notice them, but they're really fascinating insects that I wanted to talk a little bit about today because they are related to trees. They're closely intertwined. Now, maybe in the background you might be able to hear there are cicadas making noise today, and I'm here in Forsyth Park. And I came here because there are a few trees that I know of that almost always have cicadas on them. And that's this little section of black cherries here, or Prunus serotina. Now, cicadas are really fascinating insects. So most cicadas fall in the family Cicadidae. There's another family that's exclusive to Australia, but I won't talk about that because we're in North America. And there are over 3,000 different species of cicadas that have been named. And there's probably a lot more else out there that haven't been named yet. Now, I was looking through these trees and didn't find anything on the first two. And lo and behold, on the third one, I found this molt of a cicada. So there's no cicada in there right now. That's just, they molted out of. So you can see, if I can get it to focus, this is just what they hatched out of. And cicadas have a fascinating life cycle. They actually start as eggs up in the twigs of a tree. So the females will lay their eggs on branches in a tree, and that's actually where they can cause a little bit of damage. This is particularly important for fruit trees. You know, a lot of fruit trees are really dependent on those fine little twigs on the end where they grow their flowers and eventually produce their fruit. So they can cause some, you know, significant damage on those types of trees. For most trees, it's really not a big deal. Now, the larvae, which are sort of the baby stage of the cicadas, actually feed on tree roots. It's really fascinating. You know, I've seen actually at some orchards, they'll lift up the trees and you can see the roots are just covered in cicadas feeding on them. And they actually spend most of their lives feeding on tree roots. It's really fascinating. Cicadas have different groupings, what are called broods. So they'll stay underground for different periods of time. Some cicadas come out, you know, every 2 years. Other cicadas come out every 17 years. So there's really an incredible range on how often they actually come above ground. The 17-year brood is a really fascinating example of a creature that spends 95% of its life feeding on tree roots underground, and then it comes above ground to mate and lay eggs, and then they're gone. That's it. It's a pretty fast period when they're above ground. So when we're actually hearing them and seeing cicadas, we're really fortunate to see them, and sometimes that's a really small segment of their life that we're catching. So it's actually pretty exciting to have cicadas around us. I know they're not the most fun creatures to be around. They seem a little creepy crawly. I'll pick this up again. A lot of insects do seem creepy crawly, but really fascinating insects. You know, they can't sting or bite, so they're not harmful. And if you see a mature one, they really have fascinating wings on them. Really just a cool insect that we find over a lot of the United States. Lots of diversity. Like I said, there's over 3,000 species of cicadas that have been named. That doesn't include the ones that haven't been named yet. But again, usually not a significant issue for most tree species. Sometimes they will cause a little bit of limb and twig damage, but it's usually nothing significant. And feeding on the tree roots is especially not that detrimental to trees. So just something I wanted to talk about today, something that's considered a pest and kind of is, but isn't really. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you liked this video, stay tuned for more. We've got plenty on the way. Take care.